The Weekly Warp Pipe.
What's up, my Warp Pipers? Today we are breaking down the most expensive games in our collection. Not only that, but are they worth the price? Me and Keith got 3 for 3 on Name That Quote. Can you guys do it? And you guys won't believe the heated debate we got into on Wheel of Doom. But before we get into the show, I did want to let you know we had some technical issues while filming, so Dave's going to pop in and out of the show. All right, guys, well, sit back, relax, enjoy some nostalgia, and let's jump in the Warp Pipe. What's up, guys? What's up?
What's going on, everybody?
Hello. How are you guys?
Not too bad. How about you?
Doing pretty good.
It's warming up here in Connecticut, I'd say. Finally.
Same as here. Like a
Oh, yeah?
spring day out there.
Snow's melting.
Right?
Yeah,
It's like
like
t-shirt weather.
It's like 50 degrees here today.
Nice.
Keeps like, it's like 15 degrees here today.
Well, I'm not sure what it is today. To be honest with you, let's look at the old app here. So it was 10 degrees Celsius. So it's 50 here too.
Oh, how about that?
Oh, nice.
Look at that. We're sharing
Nice.
weather.
Nice.
Very cool. Nice.
That was easy
Sweet.
this time.
Yeah. What have you been up to
What do you
this
guys get
week,
up to?
Keith?
Oh.
You're going first.
I'm going first. Well, a lot of work as always. I did just open a retro game treasure box, which I don't know if you guys know what those are. Those are one of these. They come in the mail. You get random games inside of them. And fun little thing I found in that one. I totally filmed it, but I didn't have my mic turned on. So I opened the random box and I went to watch it, and I was like, oh, I can't even use this. So I'll use it on here. So David, I found this game in my retro game treasure box that I've never played before.
Nice. That came in the box?
I opened this an hour ago and pulled this out of the box today.
F1 race.
Before, but
Have
yes,
you played it yet?
F1 race. No, I haven't. I literally just cleaned it, checked my footage, and was like, oh no, I didn't have my microphone on. So I'm gonna play it after this and check it out. But I'm excited to play it and see what it's like. You talked very highly of it. I think it's
I do.
It's
It's
cool
a very
when it has connection to you, right?
It's a very straightforward racing game, and it's got a bunch of tracks you could choose from, and you know, it's just a fun play. So you'll have a good time with it. Let me know how you enjoy it.
I absolutely will. And then I dug through some stuff. I'm doing Rushmore show tomorrow, so Rushmore podcast.
Oh, right.
So
yeah,
I'm on that with RNG Gamer tomorrow. So I've been trying to figure out what the hardest games are and how I'm gonna approach that, because they do like a top 4 list. I gotta figure out the 4 hardest games. I think I'm just gonna go with Nintendo because that's kind of what I know. So
Oh, sweet. So you get to pick the games?
I get to pick the games for me, and then we go around in a circle and see who has what. So should be interesting. What are you guys, Russ? What about you? What are you up to?
I did end up finishing season 2 of Castlevania Nocturne. So they're about half-hour episodes anyways. I was usually putting Gwen down for a nap, and I'd watch one episode, then come up here and try to film some stuff, but I was a little ahead. So I was like, you know what? There's 3 more episodes out. Let me knock it out. So finished it up. It was nice. I definitely love to get the both series on DVD just to have them in case, they're not on streaming anymore. Being a big Castlevania fan, thought it was a good story. Now, I don't know if they're going to do a season 3 or try to pick a different era of Castlevania to go with some of the other games, but it certainly was a good time watching that. So caught up on that. And then me and my wife I don't know if I had mentioned, we had finished watching that new season or series of Dexter where it's like a prequel where he's like up and coming. He's like 20 something or whatever. We finished that. So then we actually went back and started watching the original Dexter. So we finished season 1 and we're on season 2. And listen to this. This is so random. So we're watching it it's on Paramount Plus, right? Watch season 1, no problem. Start season 2, episode 1, no problem. Episode 2, for whatever reason, has audio description turned on. I don't know if you ever heard this when you guys have been streaming stuff. So
No,
in
what's
Well,
that?
between, so it's like in between them talking. So it's like it's like the intro. You guys remember the intro to like
Yeah.
Dexter? It'd be like Dexter's frying eggs boiling, cuts orange,
oh, okay.
and then it'll say, and then the show will start, and it'll be like Deb walks over to the body, and then she's like, "What is this body here?" And I'm like, "What the heck is this?" And I had thought because we're streaming it on my PlayStation, so I thought maybe
Mhm.
I hit some combination of buttons to turn it on, and we're like looking up how to shut it off, and we did some research, and weird enough, episode 2 through 8 has that permanently on. Episode 9, it's off for whatever reason. Like, you can't turn it off episode 2 through 8. Luckily, though, it's also streaming on Netflix, so we switched over to Netflix watching season 2, and we watched a few episodes in there, but it's blowing my mind. I'm like, "Why won't this is terrible." Like, so annoying.
Yeah. Well, I assume that pushes a lot of people to Netflix too, right?
Right, and it's like, you almost think, like, you're having that issue, Hulu, and it was, on a Reddit post, someone was like, "Oh, yeah, can't turn it off." So now, like, we won't even go back to Paramount Plus to finish the series if it's already on Netflix. I guess the only benefit would
Yeah.
be, we are paying for the lowest tier of Netflix, so there are commercials.
All
Um,
right.
on Paramount Plus, there wasn't commercials, so I guess it takes a little bit longer to get through each episode. But usually, my wife's only good for maybe one episode after we put the baby to bed, and
Yeah.
she's a bit tired. But we kind of been going through that. Whether we're gonna watch the entire series, I don't know because there is a, I guess, after series that's coming out in the summer, and it's supposed to take place after not not the end of this season because they did another. I forgot what the heck it was called, but it was like Dexter New Blood, where
Okay.
when his son's grown up. It was like maybe 6, 7 episodes. I guess it takes
Yeah.
place after that. So who knows? We're back
Okay.
into Dexter streaming and into that.
Hmm. Looks like we've lost David here.
And David hopped out. I guess he was having difficulties early on. We said, "Hey, someone's got to be Jay this week." With the technical
And
difficulties.
for
Is
the
he
first
texting
time,
us?
it's not me.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, he was just letting us know that he got booted out of this. So I guess we'll have to see what he's got going on, what his week was like when he gets back in here.
that's all. That's all. Other than that,
Well,
what was I what was I playing? I was other than game of the week, which we'll get into, I was playing a new game for my Nintendo series that I've been doing.
yeah,
I think I'm on episode 4 or 5 now. I'm trying to do one a week. And I ended up doing Gargoyle's Quest 2 on NES, which kind of plays like a RPG slash
yeah,
platformer game. And I actually did maybe usually when I'm recording these, I'll play 15, 20 minutes of it because the episodes are only 15 minutes long. And this
yeah.
one I probably played for 45, almost an hour.
Uh-oh.
But
Got hooked, eh?
what's funny is I was playing it. So I changed the way I do these. I was fully recording this in OBS, and it's hard to do the audio perfectly, like your game audio versus your talking audio. That mix, if it's not perfect, there's no way I can adjust that. So I
Yeah.
switched now to just having OBS with the gameplay, and then I'm recording with my Canon camera separately, and then I'll combine them in Final Cut Pro. This way, I have complete control over the music and my talking.
Okay.
Well, downside to that, I was playing, my battery died on the camera and shut off, and I didn't notice it. So I was playing for like 10 minutes or whatever, not looking at the camera, and I was like, I gotta get a new battery. So I lost the gap of footage of me playing that I just had to pick up from, and I was like, well, is what it is.
Sounds like maybe I'm not the only one that was having technical difficulties today.
Yeah, it's tough, when you're always doing content and recording stuff. I always try to have, 2 batteries on hand. I did have one already charged, I always try to keep one in the charger. Again, microphones, I've been using a wireless, Rode mic for a while, so I gotta make sure the receiver's charged as well as
Yeah.
the transmitter, so that's 2, like, always keep them plugged in. Even when I'm recording shorts with my phone, I have a wireless mic that plugs into there, so, like, that has to be plugged in to get charged.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like going to a convention and having a pocket full of batteries so you can update whatever you having that charger in your pocket so you can plug in what you need so you don't
Yeah.
miss out on a bunch of footage, right? Yeah.
You know what? Now it's
Well,
it's jogging my memory when you were saying that. I th I thought the battery died. The SD card was full. That's what it was.
oh, that's even worse.
Because I looked over and it has the little across the screen and it was like SD card full. And I was like,
Yeah.
what? I forgot to delete footage to make room for this. So, uh, always a struggle.
No doubt. Right? Never ends. It looks like David might be having issues. He says the StreamYard website is holding them out. So
It's holding them out. You can't come back in.
looks like it. Yeah. So not sure which direction you want to go here. Do we want to give him some time and do you have any voicemails or anything?
Yeah, we want to do some voicemails early. We'll just swing it that way.
Yeah, might as well, right? Give David some time to get back in here and see what he was up to this week and at least get some of his thoughts on the game before we get there. He's our movie
Perfect.
quote guy, right? I can't give you movie quotes.
Fair enough. Fair enough. So if you guys do want to call into the show, we have a phone number 949-682-9277. That's 949-682-9277. You can save it in your phone. This way you can just call us whenever you want and leave us a voicemail. So we'll get to that right now.
I keep dreaming, dreaming about my dream phone.
It's for you.
Hey, Weekly War Pipe and Russ and Keith and Dave. I hope you are doing good. Thank you for answering my last question about the top 3 conventions. I have another comment, I guess, or a question. Also, good show. I love you all. Like I said, I believe in what y'all do. Y'all are awesome. Love y'all. And also, I wanted to say that Silent Hill 2. When I saw the post on Instagram, I saw that Silent Hill 2. I found out from my friend at Southeast Game Machine. Speaking of conventions, that Silent Hill 2 was pretty expensive, like $90, probably more now. But I was wondering what y'all think about games like Silent Hill 2 and Little Samson. Like, what do y'all think about the prices on things? Like, do you think like, I guess you're going to talk about are they worth the high prices, but also do y'all think that y'all, if they were cheaper, if they were even more expensive, they were like what? I guess my question is, what price would be the right price for that game? And also,
Okay.
Jay NES Addict is an awesome guy. He's a funny guy too. I love listening to his call. It was so funny. I was cracking up. Anyways, y'all have a blessed day. Love y'all and stay piping. I don't know. Piping hot. I don't know. Anyways, stay awesome.
Thank you. That was Bryce. He
Thanks,
had called
Bryce.
us.
Yeah.
Well, he actually text messaged us last week with the question, our top 3 gaming convention. So, hey, appreciate you calling in. Yeah, sometimes it's hard to get out your question. You almost put on the spot when you're doing these voicemails,
Yeah.
right? Because you're just like randomly going and you're like, shoot, everything that I say is going to be recorded. So, hey,
Yeah.
appreciate you calling in. So his question was, he had seen that Silent Hill 2. Now, I don't know if he meant the remake or the original PS2. He said $70, so I imagine
See
the
here.
remake. And then Little Samson, which is on NES and is hundreds of dollars. I'm not even sure on the price of that one
Thousands of
there.
dollars.
Could be even thousands. What
Yeah.
would a good price be for those games? That's in almost a little bit. Our main topic today is our top 5 most expensive games in our collection, and are they worth it? So it's almost a little like subset of that getting into.
Yeah.
Now, I did play Silent Hill 2, the remake, before playing Silent Hill 2, the original game, which I do own. And a lot of these new games, $70 for a new game. That's kind of standard for PS5 and I guess the new Xbox there. That's usually for standard editions. They do have these, I don't even want to call them special editions, but like I guess they have added content, something like a Call of Duty. You get like, your full gear and this and that. And it can be $120. You're kind of getting
Yeah.
all the maybe DLC or something like that. And I'm like, man, I don't know if I can spend that on a new game, over $100 on a new game. Then we're justifying spending over $100 on a retro game though, with probably
Yeah.
way less content.
So it looks like, according to price charting, Silent Hill 2 on the PS2 is about $100 loose, about $157 complete in the box. So that is a little pricey for a PlayStation 2 game. I say that, and then we look at Little Samson. Little Samson loose on the NES. You ready for this?
Okay. Oh
Eighteen
God.
hundred dollars.
Wow. No kidding.
Yeah,
$1,800
crazy.
bucks. Now I used to work at Retro Games Plus many years ago as a manager, and I remember a kid came in, traded in his copy of Little Samson, and he came back. I don't know if it was a day later or maybe later that day, and he wanted to beat the game one last time. So we had set it up behind the counter and gave him the controller, and we had a little TV up
Yeah,
there, and he was playing through it. But back then, this honestly was probably, geez, 8 years ago, maybe even 10 years ago at this point when I worked there. And I think the game was probably maybe $700 then. So
wow.
being over
Jesus.
$1,000, it's like I don't know if I can spend
Yeah,
that much in it being worth it too. I guess if you're
yeah,
going
right?
for a complete collection of NES games and you have to have that game, who knows? What's up,
Yeah.
Dave? Hey, how
Oh,
are you?
Some little technical difficulties, guys.
look,
Sorry about
He's
that.
here.
Hey, no worries. We reformatted the schedule a little bit. We're doing
Nice.
voicemails early, and then we'll get into stuff. So we're kind of
Oh,
on a whim. The schedule is going to be all off the place on our outline, but
okay.
we'll figure it out. So you missed Bryce's voicemail. We'll move
Oh
on
man.
to the
Which actually
other.
works pretty good because when we get to our main topic, we can discuss Bryce's question. Bryce was asking if
Oh,
the price is worth, what price would the games actually be worth? Like, what price do you think the game is actually worth? So we'll talk about that when
Yeah.
we get to the main topic.
oh, he gave you a game.
Well, he just gave us two
He-
suggestions
Oh, got you.
on
Okay,
games.
cool.
Yeah,
Wait, thanks for
So-
catching me up to speed.
that's
I'm
it.
sorry about that. Literally every single website on my computer still worked except for StreamYard. It just booted me. I don't know what happened. So great job, StreamYard.
Shout out to StreamYard. Let's see. We got some. Now, I'm not sure because a lot of these might pertain to our main topic. Do we want to come back
All right,
to voicemails
let's
later on?
let's reel it back in.
Okay.
David,
Okay.
what'd you get up to
Okay.
this week?
What it, well, I'm having some issues with StreamYard, so that's going on. Other than that, I'm doing pretty well. I took my daughter Kylie uh, toy hunting this weekend. On Saturday, we went to my friend Cruz's retro game store, Cruz and Retro in Glastonbury, and I just let her kind of do her thing, look around. She told me on the way up there that she wants to start making toy hunting videos.
Oh,
So
interesting.
so I said, "Well, let's go to Cruz's shop. Let's talk to Cruz. Let's see what he wants to do." And she did great. And so I said, "Cruz, we're gonna come back another time so we could do like a video." And he was cool with it. So you know, I guess me and Kylie are gonna start going toy hunting together and maybe create some content. So it should be fun. She picked up 12 Care Bears, like the vintage Care Bear
Okay.
figures. And
Nice.
she also picked up a couple of like little like Disney Happy Meal toys or something like that. And she did the whole haggle. She went up to him after like when she had all the toys and was like, "Let's make a deal." And so
Jeez.
she's I'm starting her young. She's 6 years old, but she did great. She got everything for like half price. So,
Nice.
and when I say half price, it's half price out of my pocket. So, but it was fun. And then on
Putting on her
Sunday we took
tab,
her.
eh?
Yeah, right. And then on Sunday we took her to the Peabody Museum in New Haven, which Keith, if I know you're not familiar, it's a museum in Yale University that I used to go to as a kid. Russ used to go to as a kid, and it has all the dinosaur bones and all this other like cool historic stuff. So it was cool to see the dinosaurs. It was cool to see the mural that was painted on the wall that is still there from when we were kids. They did a huge renovation, so it was all brand new, but super fun. That's what happened to me this week. And then tonight, we all know where I stand.
That's it. Brought up the speed.
Oh, let's
Caught
go.
up then.
All right, Keith. What are we getting into?
Yes, we're gonna do our warp pipe rental. So every week we pick a game that we're going to rent for the weekend. We're gonna play it. We're going to see what we think about it. We'll give it a rating. We invite you to join us a little later on in the episode. We will talk about what game we're going to look at next week. This week was Super Metroid, right? So what did you guys think of that one?
Wait, we got to do our intro. Intro time. Let's head to the video store, grab a game for the weekend. We have the box art and description to guide us when we're choosing what game to rent. So grab your rental card because this is the Warp Pipe Rental.
What game you rent for the weekend?
Hey,
We'll get this
what's great?
figured out.
I was gonna say what's great at the end of the intro of Warp Pipe Rental, I did use Super Metroid as one of the games.
Perfect.
Nice. Yeah, so we did rent Super Metroid. Look at this freaking box art.
It's great.
It's got
Now,
good
Keith,
bright colors on it. Yeah.
I think Keith, you and I have not played it, right? Up until this weekend.
I had never played it before, so we're going in with wide open eyes. This is like we were 14 or 10 and rented it for the
Right.
first time.
Right. So I treated it like a true rental, like I was a kid, where I literally started it on. I mean, I'm not gonna lie to you guys. I started it on Sunday,
Okay. It's all right.
just because I had a busy week. I went toy hunting. So started it Sunday, but I took like 3 days, and I remember we used to have to return games like the third day by like noon or something. So I literally timed it out so it would be like an actual rental.
Okay.
So uh so yeah, what did you think, Keith?
Well, how I jumped into it was I was busy all week, and at the end of it here, I had half an hour to try it out. So, my thoughts are going to be pretty close on the start of it, but
Okay.
I like the music. I thought the music was really good. Being someone that's never played it before and jumping into it, and the start threw me a little bit because I only had a limited amount of time to play it. I was out riding
Okay.
bikes and stuff before. So when I got into it, there was a lot of story at the start. There was a lot
Right.
of telling me
Catch you
what
up to
was
speed.
happening, right? And I couldn't skip through it or
Right.
make it go
Right.
any
Yeah,
faster.
yeah.
So that
Okay.
kind of held me back a little bit, I think. But then when I got into it, the way it looked and the way it sounded made me want to play more of it.
Mm,
So I ended up venturing all the way down and venturing over and getting to that first space and then beating that guy by the skin of my teeth because I didn't know what I was doing.
yeah.
And then it
Was
entered
that
that
the
next
spore
level.
spawn?
Whatever was in the little vial, yeah. And then that thing came and had a hold of it and was whipping its
Oh,
tail at me and
Ridley.
shooting fireballs
Yeah.
at
So
me.
the very
Yeah.
beginning at the space
The
station.
very,
Yeah.
very beginning. And then the space station blew up and then was at the next one. And I
Mhm.
just wanted to keep playing it. Like I don't own it right now. I played it on
Okay.
the computer. Again, I emulated it. But this time I didn't use a keyboard, I actually used a
There you
Nice.
Xbox
go.
keyboard, which
That
worked.
works.
So my hands aren't cramping this time. But I'm gonna buy it. It's gonna be one on my list that I'm gonna pick up now so I can play more
Yeah.
of it because I did really enjoy it. Again, the music, the look, the vibes, when you exit that second stage and all of a sudden there's bad guys there, it's like, ooh, goodness, there's I have to run away from these guys or shoot them. And then when you get whatever the upgrade is, as far as I made it, I got an upgrade. The roller balls or whatever they are, where you turn the ball and you can drop the bombs. I picked that up, and then all of a sudden, that statue turned into a monster, and I was like, "Oh no!" And then I promptly died.
Oh, is that what was his name? Kraid?
It's a
No,
very good
no,
question.
it wasn't great. It was just one of the like Chozo statues.
Oh, and we're down at David again.
I hope I didn't hit something. I was trying to share gameplay. I didn't want to share that. Let's see. Remove. I'm having issues here. Stop screen share. Share this. That one. That's what I. No, it keeps going to this. Why is it there? All our technical issues today.
Right?
So you only played basically a half hour
Yeah,
of the
basically.
gameplay. Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't have a lot of depth into it, but if it was a weekend rental, I would have begged my parents to buy it for me so I could play it.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely for sure. I did end up as you can see here, I did end up live streaming the game prior to recording the podcast. I live stream every Wednesday. And again, it's tough to treat it exactly like a rental because super busy for the weekend, right? We get the podcast going Wednesdays. I got to edit it and get it up. So usually Fridays, I can't dive into the game. So I did play it for 2 hours straight on my live stream and I got fairly far in it. I mean, you definitely got to sink some hours into this game for sure to really beat it. But I did have also the Nintendo Power issue here
Nice.
with Super Metroid on it. So it does have I think it's only like 8 pages in it and it has maps in it too, so very helpful uh helping you navigate around. This does have a map in game, but it doesn't show you where, the power-ups are, the secrets are.
Yeah.
So it certainly could be a struggle without having that to help you guide you along. And there was a more expensive book that is just strictly Super Metroid only. One of those guides, much like there was a Super Mario Brothers 3 guide you can get through Nintendo Power. I guess the guide now for Super Metroid is like $150 like on eBay going for. And I'm like,
Nice.
oof, I don't think I could spend $150 in some paper for
Yeah,
that.
no
But
doubt.
definitely going back, this was my original copy of the game. None of the save states or save files rather were there. So the battery has
Oh,
since been dead. So even me streaming tonight for 2 hours, I can't save my progress because once I shut the console
oh,
off, that's it. It's gone. So I
yeah,
said maybe I'll end up doing a video replacing the batteries on this one. Anything
yeah,
else that has saves, Chrono Trigger,
yeah.
Zelda Link to the Past, any of those because now they're 25 years old. The batteries aren't holding up, so it's like
Right?
time to replace them. Unfortunately,
Yeah, no doubt. So, yes. What were what were any cons you found while you're playing it? Anything you didn't like?
what's funny is I was playing. I have here. I'll show you guys. I did have a custom overlay controller that I had made with a sticker that says Super Metroid. So I make these custom overlay decals similar to what you would find in the Nintendo Power. They had NES ones, and I think they had some Super Nintendo ones too. So I made this one and I was playing with this controller. And then I was like, I thought you could hold right and point Samus's gun up and run. And it wasn't working. And then I had paused the screen and it's like press R for statistics or whatever. And I was like, you know what? My left and right buttons don't work on this controller. So I had to find a
Oh,
new controller to play with. And I was like, that makes it a lot easier.
that would explain it for sure.
Yeah, I
And
mean, getting used to the controls is definitely tough.
when did you get that copy, your childhood copy? Like, if you had,
Uh
how long have you had that for?
I mean, easily, within maybe 6 months of when it released, right? It probably came
Uh,
out. easily some of my friends had it and I played it at their house, right? And then got into it and then either got my copy for a birthday present because again, you're only getting games very few per
They were
year.
expensive, right?
Right. Easily this was, $60 or $70, maybe
Absolutely.
even $80 when it came out, trying to think of the
Yeah.
Toys R Us ads or whatever.
Yeah.
So you either had to wait for a birthday, Christmas, maybe a really good report card or something like that. But thank God
Yeah.
friends had some copies of it, so I was able to play it at their house.
Hmm.
But definitely a fun one to go through. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it too. We could get into some comments on what you
Yeah.
guys were saying about the game there.
What did you say? What did you say?
Springfield, let's hear from you.
All right, we'll jump over to Instagram. I think we had one comment on there for a Warp Pipe rental. We do post these on Friday on Instagram in case you want to get in on the action. Jay Geeky. No, I bought it from a Caldor department store in a local mall in Massachusetts. So we were asking, did you rent this back in the day? Essentially was our question. But I guess he bought his copy at a Caldor store. I don't know if you guys had Caldors over in Canada.
No, I've never heard of a Caldor, but I'm sure we have ones that you don't have, like the Bay.
Yeah, never heard of that one.
Yeah, exactly, right?
Let's see
What
what
else we
else.
got?
I think we had. Did we do a short on this one here? Yeah.
Yeah.
So Ty's Gaming said, I remember renting this game as a kid and getting so lost and didn't quite catch my attention. Now, almost 30 years since I have played it, I can honestly say I love this game. I love the music. The controls felt awkward at first, but I got adapted pretty easily. It looks beautiful and just a ton of fun. This time around, I did go with the strategy guide so I wouldn't get lost, but it hasn't taken away from the game. At the time of writing this, I have beaten Kraid, and by the time this episode airs, I am hoping to have beaten this entire game. Fantastic game.
Nice.
5 out of 5, he says. Nice.
I'm hoping he's beat it too. I really need to find this one so I can beat it. Oh, and we're back to full power. Look at that.
StreamYard's definitely not getting my money.
What you
really-
think about?
I'm really bummed too because I was
bummed?
I'm really excited about Super Metroid. Yeah, so
Well,
I'm sorry.
you.
Like I'm getting a little aggravated. So
It's all you. What'd you think?
we're gonna
Tell us
push
about
on.
your playthrough.
I loved it. Like I absolutely loved it. I thought it was great. The only thing that is close that I've played was Axiom Verge.
Right.
Which is almost basically identical now that I'm looking, so so I played it for 3 days. I did fairly well. What I love about it is like I love the exploration. I love the platforming. It's got RPG elements of like upgrading all of your weapons and your speed and all that stuff, like updating Samus.
Mhm.
The music is great. There's a track on there actually called Space Pirates Emerge. I had to look it up, and it sounds so much like the depths in Tears of the Kingdom.
Oh, okay, interesting.
Like it reminded me of it like immediately. But yeah, I absolutely loved it. And honestly, like I've never played it before and I want to finish it. So I think I'm gonna do that. So I'm excited about it.
And you're playing on like a Super Nintendo cart or how you playing it,
No,
Dave?
I'm playing it on the Switch online service.
Okay.
So it's upscaled. I use my Switch Pro controller, although I do have the Super Nintendo Switch controller, so I
Okay.
could use that if I wanted to. But I like the feel of the Pro controller for
Pro
the
controller.
yeah, for the Switch. But I loved it, every single bit about it, and I I'll rave about it. So it was a good rental.
Now, I've
Nice,
got a
nice.
feeling that what the numbers for ratings are going to be on this one. So, David, was there anything you didn't like about it?
Is there anything I didn't? The only thing that I didn't like, well, I don't think it was more an issue of the game. I think it was my issue. Is sometimes the platforming with the jumps Sometimes they I feel like they overcompensated a little bit when I pushed on the button, like depending on how hard I pushed it, because I did get a lot of the upgrades. So I got the super jump. Um, I got a lot of stuff in it. I ended up going through Spore Spawn and Kraid.
Mhm.
And that's kind of where I left it. I think the last thing I got was the ice uh blaster, whatever. I don't know
Yeah,
what
yeah,
it's
Ice
called.
Beam.
Ice beam. Yeah, so I think that's like the last thing that I ended up getting. But no, I mean for the most part, I would say like 99.9% of it was a damn near perfect game.
So out of 5, what would you give it?
Um I would have to give it a 5. 5 is my pick.
I barely played it, and I'm gonna give it 5.
Keith put in like half an hour. He's like, yeah, 5. I could see.
Oh,
I could see
really?
the roots.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, I probably put in like 4 or 5 hours and not knowing anything. I didn't really like look anything up. I just kind of went through it how I would normally go through it. Towards the tail end, I wanted to get a little bit further, so I did look up a few little things of backtracking and stuff like that because Russ had
Yeah.
told me that there was some backtracking. So I was like, okay, well now that I have upgraded, let me go back and see if I missed anything. So I did do that. So
Obviously,
And
I'm
Russ, what
giving
about you?
it a 5 as well. Yeah, 5 stars for
I knew
sure.
it. I knew it. It was
it was
gonna
a
be
good
5s
one.
across the board.
Yeah, for sure.
There was one more on our one of our reels on our YouTube. Sean was saying the GOAT. It got a perfect score in GamePro magazine back then,
Hmm.
I believe. So even back then, people were raving about Super Metroid. And you can watch the series Games Done Quick, which is a charity event where people speed run games and they raise money. Everyone comes out for the Super Metroid one. It's a big, big deal. And I don't know if you guys know, at the end of the game, you have an option to save these animals that help you in the game. There's a little extra bit you can do while you're trying to escape the planet before it blows up, right? You got a timer going, so you get to save them or you could leave them. And there's a big debate, and they have a battle of like what are you gonna do? Who donates to which cause?
Mm,
But definitely go back, beat this game, enjoy
yeah,
it, and it's a good one for sure.
yeah. And next week, for our game, we're gonna do. I was keeping it with SNES,
Okay.
and we're gonna play Battletoads and Double Dragon. So I figured we'll go and do some beat 'em up style again on SNES. We
Okay.
did it on Sega Genesis, so let's see how it goes with Super Nintendo. And this is another game that I have not played yet.
Right. I think I played this probably once, but can't remember it. So we did
Yeah.
do a Double Dragon. So now this is combining Double Dragon with
I've
Battletoads. You can choose either or character.
Okay,
I've got it on the NES, but I'll have to try it on the Super Nintendo.
sweet. Sounds
Excellent.
good. And with that, we're getting into name that quote. Hit it, Russ.
Hit it. Let's go.
Hey, I bet you can't name that quote.
Okay, so this week, guys, I have picked some movies from the mid 80s. So these are just classic movies that I'm sure we've all seen.
Okay.
Let's see how you go. Ready for number one?
Yep.
Okay. I gave this a 1-star rating. This one should be pretty easy for you.
Okay. Excellent.
Okay. I'm sorry if I'm a little choppy. StreamYard's not, doing communication well with me, but get through this. Okay. So here's the quote. You ready? Michael Jackson didn't come over to my house to use the bathroom, but his sister did.
I know it.
All right.
Pretty sure I might know it too.
Oh,
I'll have
okay.
to do
Even
it.
without the
Play the clip.
okay.
Michael Jackson didn't come over to my house to use the bathroom, but his sister did.
So good. Yeah, there it is.
Keeps doing the truffle shuffle in case you're not watching.
So
and
what is
listening.
the movie?
The Goonies.
The
And
Goonies,
who
yeah.
said the quote?
Chunk.
Chunk.
I don't
There
know
you
the
go.
actor's name, but yes, Chunk.
Very good. That was a 1 out of 5. So I'm going easy on you this week. The third one might be a little tricky, but let's move on to the second one. You ready?
Okay.
Okay. He has to give me a new name. He's already chosen it. He just has to call it out. This is a 2 out of 5.
I know this one, and I didn't know what the heck the name was that he
True.
chose till forever.
Yes. Yes.
This is a classic movie, though.
This is
Think
from
this is a
1984.
traumatizing movie, if I'm
Oh,
thinking
there
about
we
what it is.
Yes, it
Traumatizing movie.
is.
Play the clip.
Play the clip.
He has to give me a new name. He's already chosen it. He just has to call it out.
Now, I don't know who's saying it, but
Okay. I can
obviously the
tell you who
movie.
said it.
Okay,
Yes.
the movie's Never-Ending Story.
Correct. Now, if you don't know the name of the actual character,
Okay,
do you know what they called her? Do you know that?
Keith.
She's like, no. All I know is the horse was stuck in the mud and I was in tears. That's what I know about the
That is-
never-ending story.
That is the saddest moment in cinematic history when the horse Artak drowns in the swamp of sadness. And the reason
I'm
he sinks
sad now.
is because he's sad.
I don't
I'm
get our
sad
listeners
now.
sad.
All right, let's okay. So anyway, they called the character the childlike empress,
Okay,
and the name was Moonchild.
because the way he screamed it out, I thought it was just
Right.
supposed to be any name that you thought of. Like he just screaming gibberish, and I didn't hear Moonchild. I'm like, that's such a random
If you
name.
listen back at it, you can kind of make it out, but yeah, it's Moonchild in the Neverending Story.
I'm not listening back to it because the horse is going to be in the mud again.
Yeah.
Be a grown man in tears.
Hey man, but we had Falcor and we had the Rock Monster.
It's true.
Yeah.
Okay, so the last one of this week is a 3 out of 5.
Okay,
I think it's fairly easy, but again, I'm giving you guys the benefit of the doubt here. You ready?
here we go.
An explanation. Jesus Christ, Dad, an explanation. Look at me. Look at you.
Nothing's coming to me. Look at me.
What
Look at
is it?
you.
What do you got there?
Maybe we're
I
gonna
think
hear
we
the
should
audio clip.
Play the
You-
clip.
Play the clip.
Play the clip.
Explanation. Jesus Christ, Dad, an explanation. Look at me. Look at you.
Is it playing?
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
you
it
didn't hear
did.
it. Yeah,
I didn't hear.
sometimes
heard
that
it.
happens.
Oh no! We're never
We're
gonna
never gonna know.
know
He got
what it
booted.
is because we just lost David again. I think it's Teen Wolf.
You think it's Team? Because I'm
That's
like,
Michael J. Fox.
that's
right?
definitely Michael J. Fox, and I'm like, I don't think it's Back to the Future.
Explanation.
Because
Jesus Christ, Dad, an explanation. Look at me. Look at you.
That makes sense, though.
because
Totally.
they're both, yeah. And I
Real
can
well
say
spent.
he figures out that he is one when he's in the bathroom or something like that. And
Right.
the dad is one too, right? So I
Right,
think
towards-
it's Teen Wolf. And we may never know.
For confirmation. I think we're 3 for 3 this week, Keith.
I think we're 3 for 3. He was taking it easy on us, I think.
Fair enough.
All right, so I guess we're gonna move on to Rad or Bogus with currently just 2 members of the team. So pick a category and we'll see which one we keep and which one we get rid of. Hit it, Russ.
Bogus.
Bogus. What
All
do you
right,
got,
so
Keith?
now we're down to David, but we're gonna go through anyways. So I picked toys this week, and I picked Micro Machines
Ooh.
or
Okay.
Hot Wheels. Which one are you keeping? Which one are you getting rid of? But think about it as a kid. You're in
Right.
the store, you can buy Micro Machines or you can buy Hot Wheels. Which ones are you buying and taking home because they're rad, and which ones are you leaving at the store because they're bogus?
I feel like growing up, I saw the Hot Wheels and everything in the store, but I wanna say I never got a ton of them. I had gotten a hand-me-down, a bunch from my cousins, whether they were because there was Hot Wheels and Matchbox cars, very similar,
Yeah,
like,
very
interchangeable,
similar, yeah.
and I have a bunch of those, and I guess I was just never into where the Hot Wheels and I think Matchbox cars are more of real life cars shrunken down. I'm
Yeah,
looking at that like, "Oh, okay, I wanna get a
yeah,
Mustang or a Beetle or whatever the heck it is." Whereas Micro Machines just seemed, I don't know, so much cooler being so much smaller and even having, like, the monster trucks, but they're, like, mini monster
right,
trucks
like
essentially.
this little monster truck here with its little
Right.
monster cars, and the man is back. Was it Teen Wolf? Was it did we
It
get
was
3 for
Teen.
3?
Yes, it's Teen Wolf.
Yes, long distance high five, Russ.
It was
Boom.
it was Scott Calvin.
We're
No, Scott
discussing
Calvin. Wait, Scott Calvin is no. I'm thinking of
I
Calvin
don't even
Michael
know
J.
Klein.
who
It was
Fox,
Calvin
right?
Klein,
Calvin
right
Klein,
from Back to the Future.
right, his name
Scott
in his
Calvin was the
underwear.
name of Santa Claus in the Santa Claus with Tim Allen.
Oh, odd.
We got 3 for
So
3 on that, eh?
yeah, that's where my head's at, guys, right now. So I heard you
Alright.
guys talk about monster trucks.
So Micro
So
Machines. Oh, go ahead, Keith.
so Micro Machines or Hot Wheels, and look at it as you're a kid, you're in the store, and you're either picking Micro Machines or you're picking Hot Wheels to take home. One's rad, you're keeping it. One's bogus, you're leaving it at the store. David?
Um, well, I would have to say Micro Machines.
Yeah, yeah. I think I might
The
That
o-
even
that's what
switch
you're going
with
with too,
David.
Russ?
yeah,
Yeah,
the
Yeah,
Micro
only thing
I
that
Machines.
would
figured you were
the
right
only thing
there.
that would
Yeah, these
steer
much.
me towards Hot Wheels is
Okay.
if they were the color changers.
Oh, okay.
Oh, I'd forgot about those. Those are pretty cool.
Yeah, and they still make those.
Well, obviously, I've got a small handful of Micro Machines right here, so I'm going Micro Machines because, like you were saying, Russ, they
Oh,
just
nice.
felt like the cool kid toys, and Hot Wheels, I
Mm.
just felt like were, I don't know, just your typical toy cars.
Well, also too with there was so much more with Micro Machines. I mean, this could be a whole topic in itself, but briefly to
Mhm.
Sure
touch on
could.
it, where Hot Wheels and Matchbox were just the cars, and you got the tracks, right? Put them on the tracks. With Micro Machines, you got the cities that you can interconnect. You got carrying cases. There's airplanes and army ones. There's just more of a world building with Micro Machines, essentially, for
Right?
Yeah.
you to collect for
Like
whether which ones you like.
down to like, there's a trailer and there's a tractor trailer truck that you can hook together
Mhm.
and haul it around, and then this truck is interchangeable with the other one. Like you said,
Mhm.
they had planes
Yeah,
and
yeah.
everything, right? They had
I
boats.
actually I actually have the carrying case that you can keep them all in. It looks like a
Yep.
pickup truck. And then
Oh, okay.
I also have a Micro Machines it's like I don't know what you call it, like an 18 wheeler that you can actually like load the Micro Machines on, and then they could
Yeah.
drive around with like the cars on the trailer.
Okay.
Well, sounds
Yeah.
like we might have a
We had some cool
future
sets.
vintage toy box.
Sounds good.
What do you got, Dave, for Rad or Bogus?
I this week am doing movies, and I am going to make it extremely difficult for you guys. Are you ready?
Okay.
We are choosing, they are 80s movies. 80s, I would say, like, I don't know what you would call them, but like, you always had those movies with like the group of kids that were always fun.
Okay.
Um, Monster Squad
Ooh, okay.
versus the Goonies.
Ooh, yeah. That's a good mashup right there.
Yeah. Keith, you seem decisive?
Yeah, I'm going Goonies. I think I might have seen Monster Squad once,
Oh, okay.
Okay.
but I watch Goonies like once a year. So I'm going with
Okay.
Goonies.
Okay.
Those are my type of kids. Those are the kids I would have been hanging out with when I was a kid.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Probably.
Goonies.
Nice. What about you, Russ?
This is definitely a tough one. I would say Monster Squad is my favorite Halloween movie.
Yeah.
And I try to expose more people to it. My wife had never seen it, so of course I got a copy of it. We had to watch it. It's got a lot of great quotes. Very similar to Goonies, like you said. It's got the group of kids where they're in a club instead of going treasure hunting. Right? You got monsters. You're fighting some monsters. All the classic Universal monsters on there. It's definitely tough. I feel like Goonies obviously was more mainstream, and Monster
Mhm.
Squad didn't get big till after to get that cult following,
Right.
essentially.
Right.
I feel like I got to give it to Monster Squad just because Goonies gets so much love from everyone else.
Mhm.
Where it was a great movie. Wolfman's got nards, classic
Yeah.
classic
Yeah.
quote.
Yeah.
Great for Halloween time, um, and it still encapsulates that '80s like so cool. I don't know.
Yeah.
I really enjoy it. I do love the Goonies, but I feel like everyone's going to say the Goonies, so I got to go Monster Squad.
I'll admit, I'm not surprised that you picked Monster Squad because I know every single year we always have a conversation about Monster Squad and then I remember a few years back you were over for Halloween or something and we just oh no, it was a pay-per-view, a WWE pay-per-view and like literally after the pay-per-view we're like, "Hey, let's watch Monster Squad." So we watched Monster Squad. So that one does not surprise me that you picked that. For me, I'm going Goonies. It is a difficult choice. So it it was not easy, but Goonies, I feel like I can go back to the Goonies
Mhm.
anytime,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
there's so many quotes from that
Right.
movie, from Data and Chunk and
Yeah.
Mikey and Bran, and, like, I feel like I just not only have more nostalgia for it, but I just feel like it's just I don't know, there's more depth to all the characters and everything like that, so I'm gonna choose Goonies.
That was definitely a booty trap for sure. Absolutely.
Said I'm
Looks
doing
like you can watch the Monster Squad on Google Play Movies and
Okay.
TV. You can watch it on Apple TV, and you can watch it on Amazon Prime Video. But you're gonna
Interesting.
be paying money for them, so they are on streaming
Oof.
services. You wanna
Mhm.
check out Monster Squad.
I mean, at that point, I'd say just purchase a DVD or Blu-rays just so you own it and you can check it out yearly.
Mhm. And I have them on VHS, which sometimes I'll pop into the CRT, and then I have the Steelbook for Goonies, and I think I have a Blu-ray. Yes, I have a Blu-ray for Monster Squad.
I will say to jump in, Goonies definitely had more like promotional stuff, right? They had a
Mhm.
Famicom game and they had an NES game, Goonies 2. Music videos with Cyndi
The
Lauper,
video,
like
yep.
the wrestlers in the music video, like
Mhm.
just so much more pushing at it. Dude, we
Yeah.
never got a Monster Squad game.
No.
That would have been easy to make. You got all the
Yeah.
Universal monsters in there and just make it like a platformer beat 'em up or something. That definitely would have helped probably push it in the '80s. Be like, oh, Monster Squad, like what is this? Like kids love monsters. Like
Yeah.
just hearing the name rather than Goonies, you're like, what's a Goonie? Like if you didn't know
Right.
Monster Squad, oh, I know monsters and like squad, okay, group of kids or something.
Yeah.
Who knows?
And I'm
Yeah.
sorry that I was away for a moment. Did you already go, Russ?
No, I did not. So
No,
Okay,
I'm
I
good.
bringing 'em in
chose
now.
I chose games for my rad or bogus, and I wanted to pit up two PlayStation games against each other that were pretty big icons in there. And I don't know how much you guys played either or. Could be an easy, clean cut, but I was going to go with Crash Bandicoot versus Spyro the Dragon. I know both of
Mm.
those also had remasters on the
Mhm.
newer gen systems and kind of brought them back and get your hot take on those.
Well, I this one's easy for me. I'm gonna go with Crash Bandicoot. I don't know. I didn't play them when they first came out. I played them on the remastered versions on the Switch, and they were fun. Like platforming, kind of fast. Um, yeah, I just don't. I mean, Spyro was fine too, but I would go with Crash Bandicoot for sure.
Nice. Keith,
So
Keith, did you ever? I know you're more a
I
retro guy.
did.
Did you play these?
I played both of these. Now, I
Oh, great.
bought these from a pawn shop when I was in my teen years, like high school age, right? So I'm gonna base it off of that because that's the only time I've played them. I owned them
Okay.
then. One time I played them, I played them both, and I'm gonna go with Crash Bandicoot just because I remember it being and feeling air quotes here cool. And Spyro, I remember playing and enjoying, but I didn't have that "this is cool" feel to it.
Okay.
So that's the reason I'm going by it is based off that nostalgic memory of playing it and how I felt when I played.
I
Okay.
think it's also because Crash Bandicoot, like, he was kind of one of the mascots eventually, right, for
He
PlayStation?
was.
Yeah,
When
like he
there's a
definitely was a main
really
one.
good commercial
Yes.
and they pull up and he gets out and
Mhm.
it's like the
Yeah,
beat
yeah,
up
yeah,
truck and he's
yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah.
"Hey,
Yep.
Bubba boy, what's going on?" It's
Yeah, yeah.
hilarious, and it's one
He
of the
goes to
places
Sega
where
or something, right? And
I guess
it goes
Nintendo?
to
Nintendo.
Nintendo's
Yeah.
Nintendo,
headquarters,
yeah.
yeah. It's hilarious. If you haven't seen
Yeah.
that, look it up. You'll laugh
Very
for
good.
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Russ?
What
I
about you,
mean,
Russ?
yeah, I think it's clear cut with Crash. I grew up playing that one, the second one, and I honestly never owned a Spyro game. My wife loves Spyro though. She said she loves it. So I'm curious maybe to get the remasters and maybe I'll do a live stream with her playing on that. She said she enjoyed those growing up, but both mascots for PlayStation, but I feel like with Crash, maybe it was just more straightforward because a lot of the levels were very linear. And you're collecting the crates and all this stuff here with Spyro. I think it was more like Mario 64-ish where you're going around a level, open world-ish. Not really open world, but a larger level. So I don't know. I just like that straightforward gameplay a lot more
Mhm.
than that. And again, probably more promotion for Crash to
Yeah.
pushing you to that. So if Spyro never came out, I wouldn't be disappointed.
Good one.
Nice.
No doubt.
Sweet. All right. So that brings us into our main topic. This week, we're diving into the most expensive games in our collection. And not only that, are they worth those high price tags? We didn't give any stipulation of like stick to
Mhm.
a system. So if we're collecting for multiple different systems, then we're going to have different games for that. We each chose 5 games in our collection.
Yeah.
I think that was the stipulation, and we did say no special editions. Dave had some, so they might be like an honorable mention we could kind
Mhm.
of bring up, but just a game by itself. And of course, I mean, I assume you guys are, but I use pricecharting.com to gauge what these games are worth.
Same. Who wants to go
Oh, yeah.
first? We going
Take
from
it
like
away,
5 to
Russ.
1 on each?
Right. Yeah, we'll do our least expensive
Okay, cool.
first.
Sweet.
So build the
Well,
anticipation.
why don't you go first, Russ?
Okay. Sounds good. So let's see. We kind of almost talked about this game, but it was the predecessor. I had just recently live streamed this and made a video about that, and we are talking about the original Silent Hill
Mhm.
on PlayStation 1. This game is currently charted at $224,
Wow.
which I'm like, wow. I had seen this at the swap meet at Algo. One of the guys had it and he had seen the price and I'm like, really? Like this is
Mhm.
my original copy. What's great
Yeah.
is it's got a little crack in the case here. I'm gonna open it up. And on the inside, right here, I have a piece of paper that I had to print it. I doubt you'll be able to see it if you're watching, but it's like codes and stuff for like the game, like where to go
Nice.
or what to look for. So like I probably looked that up in the cyber cafe at school, printed this out, and then I was like, all right, I'm gonna beat this game. Um, Going back to it was great because I had just beaten Silent Hill 2, the remaster, and I wanted to go back, play the original Silent Hill, and this was me
Mhm.
getting all into. I just got the Retro Tink 5X, which is an upscaler, so I use that for my streaming purposes, and then I had just gotten like good quality cables for my PS2, so I had put it into my PS2 to play it because it was just easier for the cables to upscale it. And we went through, I think it was 3 streams. I think I beat it in like 6 hours. It's a short game. It looks a little muddy. Okay, I mean, even with the quality, going back, it's a little rough. The story's there though. The story's there, the atmosphere, like the creepiness, and it was a good competitor to Resident Evil back then. Now I have no clue why they remastered Silent Hill 2 before Silent Hill 1. Like why'd they jump ahead? So whether they're gonna go 1 or remaster 3, who knows what the future holds. But I think you can still play this if you have I think they said if you have a PS3, you can still download this on like the
Oh,
PlayStation Store and play it
interesting.
if you don't want to pay $224 for, or I mean, just get it wherever and emulate it. I think it's still
Right.
worth it to go back 20 years later. I did a video again on my YouTube channel talking about this game, and I was happy that I still had my original copy.
Nice. And that's at 225, and that's your number 5.
Right, that's my number 5. So
Jeez.
can imagine what my number 1 will be. Stick
Wow.
around to the end.
All right. Keith, you want to go?
Sure. All right. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So number 5 is going to be. I know you've got this one in box.
Nice.
DuckTales 2, and DuckTales 2 sits price charting. Let me see if I can make this work real quick. DuckTales 2 sits at about 277 loose in American dinero. So pick this one
We
up. Got this one
appreciate the
for a really
conversion.
good deal. Right. I got this one for a really good deal from my buddy Ryan. He's got a store here next to Video Games, and he hooked me up with a smoking deal. Really excited to have this one in my collection. Just basically the second DuckTales. It's almost the same gameplay as the first one with a couple add-ons, and just because it was late release, a little more pricey. So number 5 for me is DuckTales 2 Loose.
I will say, to hop in, I still prefer the first DuckTales over this. I live
Me
streamed
too.
DuckTales
Me too.
2
Same.
past year, and they switched it up a little bit with some of the things like you said, and I'm like, I don't know, why fix what wasn't broke type thing.
Right.
I mean, I get, you're trying to switch it up a little bit with the second one, but maybe that's why it ended up being more expensive, because a lot of people, maybe they rented it, didn't like it, so then no one bought the game, drove the
Yeah,
price
and
up.
it would have been I think it was a late release title on the NES, so that
Mhm.
normally jacks the price up a little bit on them. All of mine are going to be NES games. Just going to tell you
Cool.
straight out and early.
There you go.
Did you do that by choice, or is that just how it worked
I
out?
did that by choice. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Figured I was
And it,
watching
and
NES. Let's go for that.
I say, just to make sure we preface it too, because the topic was most expensive and is it worth it? I forget if
Yes.
I didn't come off, but it was worth it. I'd say for Silent Hill, yes. Is it worth the price, Keith, for DuckTales 2?
Probably not. I think the first one is, like you said, the first one is better. I would pick it over this one. Just because it's a late release, does it make it worth that? Probably not. No.
Okay, perfect.
So DuckTales 2 just missed my list.
Oh, okay.
So my number 5 is an NES game, and I don't know if you have this, Keith, but it runs at $290.17, and that is Mighty Final Fight.
Nice. Capcom
If it'll
game.
focus. There you go. Now, Russ, do you remember when I got this game?
Was it at Too Many Games?
This is the same day that you licked a pole.
That's right. That's out of
Do you know about that story?
That didn't come out right.
It is what it is, though. Maybe Russ
No,
can throw
I
in a
sure
little clip
don't.
here. Yeah. But yeah, so I got this from the Bad Graphics Gamers, which I haven't seen at a con lately. It's a beat 'em up. It's kind of like a little chibi version of Final Fight. It's fun. It kind of reminds you of Double Dragon a little bit. It's got very similar gameplay. When I got it, I think it was around 190, so it has jumped up about $100 since then.
Yeah.
Is it worth it? I'm not so sure.
Okay.
I'm not so sure. I know I'm frozen here, so I'm hoping I'm not gonna. There we go. We're back. All right, StreamYard, stay with me here. Stay with me. I don't think it's worth the $290 personally. I don't know if you guys have played it.
No, I haven't.
No.
Yeah, I might have played it once, but I would be perfectly fine just emulating it, playing on my NES, like
Yeah.
EverDrive or whatever.
Honestly, you're better off playing Double Dragon. That's just
Okay.
my opinion. The graphics are great, but gameplay wise, I prefer Double Dragon.
Okay.
So that was my number 5.
Fair
Back
enough.
to you, Russ.
Back to me. We'll see how this counts. I did put some of these games here that I have with cart and manual at it to price to kind of boost the price because they have the manual price as well on price charting. So that kind of boosts the value. Don't have a complete box, but it is loose. So coming in at $264 together is Waterworld for the Virtual Boy, baby.
Wow. There you go.
I can honestly say I haven't played this game. So I'm unsure what it plays like. I've seen footage of it. Um, it's all red and black because you're on the Virtual Boy.
Right.
Yeah.
Unclear that it's going to be a good game. I have seen bad reviews on it. I don't know. The movie was okay, but translating to the Virtual Boy, I don't know.
Is it based on the movie?
Yeah, like you're in water, like going around
Okay.
on a boat and stuff. Because in the movie, it's all water. Um,
The question is, do you drink your own pee in the game?
We will never know.
Necessary? Is it necessary for me to drink my own urine?
Well, so Russ, you do own that game. You haven't played it, but tell people why you have that game and the manual.
Right. Well, I did end up doing a deal with someone. This was now a few years ago. My goal was to get a full set of Virtual Boy games, and some guy was selling a whole set with the console itself, and he happened to have the manual as well with them. So I ended up scoring that. So I was like, sweet, why not? Give it a go. I'm a Virtual Boy enthusiast, so definitely not worth the price, I will say, for sure. But made the list.
Nice.
All right. So sticking with Nintendo, it's like the same price. It might actually, depending on the moment of the day, be like $1 less than DuckTales 2. But number
Okay.
2 is going to be Gun Knack.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
So that one sits at loose price $276. So the last two are right together. This is a shoot 'em up, and it is kind of a goofy shoot 'em up. You got like rabbits shooting carrots at you, stuff
Oh,
like
okay.
that, and it's actually a lot of fun. It's zany and it's a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it. I got this one from Travis Woodman, Woodman Classics.
Oh,
Check him
nice.
out if you haven't. And is it worth $276 and change? Probably not. I'm not a big shoot 'em up fan normally, but I did enjoy this one.
Okay.
Would I pay that much? Probably not. Is it good to have in my collection? Yeah, I think so. If you haven't tried it,
Okay.
it's definitely worth checking out. Emulate it, see it because it is a little zany. There's like carrots. If you can see that with that cover on there. See, there's
Yeah.
carrots these that are coming at them and stuff. Yeah, it's a different type of shoot 'em up. It doesn't seem quite as aggressive as some of the other ones on the Nintendo. So, got knack.
And what was that price at?
$276.
Okay. So right around the same as DuckTales 2.
Basically the same, yeah, as the other
Yeah.
sections too.
Nice.
Okay. All right. So my number 4 is another NES game. This one goes for, let me see here, $362.22.
Okay. Got a
And
good
that
jump.
is Bubble Bobble 2.
Nice. Lot of sequels here. The DuckTales 2, Bubble Bobble
Yeah.
2.
So I got this. I forgot where exactly it came from. It was at a game store. I remember I did a big trade in, and they had it on the shelf, and I was like, well, if I'm trading in, I might as well just try to get something big. I want to say this is a game that like really hasn't increased or decreased in value too much. I want to say it. I think when I got it, it was around 300 maybe. So it hasn't really gone up much, and I've had this for quite a while.
Okay.
It is definitely not worth the price. Bubble Bobble 1 is the far superior game in my personal opinion. So I would say save an extra $360 and
Play the first one.
buy maybe like 30 copies of Bubble Bobble 1 instead.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
And that's the loose price.
Loose price, yes.
Yeah.
All right, back to me. We're actually gonna do an NES game. This one is complete in box. So this did make my number 3 because had I priced Waterworld as a loose copy solo, it would have been $209. But with the added manual, $55 for the manual was $264. This comes in at $260 for a complete in box, and this may be on Dave's list as well. We got Mike Tyson's Punch Out.
It is not on my list.
Oh, okay. Nice. So it'll be interesting to see. No matches so far.
No. Because what was that at? How much? 280 something?
No, I think it was in the 260.
Is it the 5 screw?
I don't think.
Because if it's the 5 screw, it's way more expensive.
Now I will stipulate I don't have the letter. Okay, so maybe this is like what, 240 then
It's
take
fine.
off for the letter. I'm missing that. I'm wondering if there's a file somewhere online I could just print the letter. All right, I won't look. I'm just going to put it at the camera. What do we got? What do we got? 3 screw.
No, sorry. Yeah, look up the 5 screw. The 5 screw is woo. It's up there. But yeah, that one missed my list because that was around like you said, 260 something. Yeah.
Is it worth 260? I'd say it's pretty close. Like having it in the box, okay, that's what we're going with. Like this is such an iconic image with Mike Tyson right on there. Looks great on the shelf. Like iconic like pictures on this gameplay. Like when this came out, he was like this up and coming superstar boxing, and you're like, man, definitely check this one out. And I remember, renting it at the store, playing it, having a blast. It's basically like a rhythm fighting game. The way you break it down, because you have to, dodge at certain times, throw punches at certain times. I'd say it's worth it. Glad to have it in my collection. Hopefully, could track down a letter.
You go.
I do also own a complete in box, and I agree with you that it is completely worth it.
All right, back in the sleeve it goes.
Tuck it away. Tuck it away. All right, so my number 3 is going to be, I'm going to pull this one out of its sleeve because we need to look at the cover for this one. It's going to be, let me pull this up, Dragon Fighter on the NES, which sits at $325. It is actually a pretty good game. It's like side scroller, like platformer style game, and then you can turn into the dragon, and you can change the color of your armor, and it'll change the different dragons you are, and they all have different attacks. You turn into the dragon, it's like a shoot 'em up. It's like a vertical moving shoot 'em up, and it is actually pretty cool. The label on this, the box art on this, it looks so weird though. Like it's almost got like a pastel-y art style to it.
Right, it's very muted with the colors.
Yeah, so when you see it like in the store, you're like, is that going to be worth it? I think it's a fun game. Is it worth $325? Loose, probably not. It doesn't have that Mike Tyson nostalgia factor that brings that value up to folks like us. It's one that is a fun game if you can find it. If you can find it for cheap, or even say the dirty word and emulate it, it's worth playing because it is a fun game, and it does have a really nice look to it.
Okay.
It's one of those ones that is worth checking out on the NES that you don't hear a lot about, but is a lot of fun. So Dragon Fighter is my number 3.
Is that similar to Life Force?
No, because Life Force, you are just shoot 'em up, right?
Right.
This one's got like literally your like side scrolling platformer type
Okay.
of game kind of, and then when
Then you turn
you
into
have enough
dragon.
power, you turn into the dragon,
Oh,
and
I
then
see.
it's like forced vertical, and you're blasting guys until you power out, and then back to the knight, and you're fighting your way through them again, right? So you got to
So
kind
it's
of time when
basically
you use the
like,
dragon.
so it sounds like Blaster Master for the sky, because Blaster Master
Kind of,
is
yeah.
a car and drive
You're playing
around.
as the character. It's like it looks like how it has that like Mario look to it or whatever. And you go from there, and then you're change over to the dragon, and it forces you to side scroll shooter, and then back to
Alright.
him. So you got to kind of time the use of that for sure. But fun game.
Okay, nice. My number 3 is an interesting one. I did the same thing as Russ, where I have the manual, I have the game, but I think what I have adds a little extra value to it. The price charting on it is $456.18.
Okay.
That's with cart and manual. So let me show you the cart and manual here. And that is Tournament Fighters.
Okay. Teenage
So
Mutant
Ninja
Ninja
Nice.
Turtle
Turtle,
Tournament Fighters.
yeah. Now, the reason I say that something increases the value is because I have something with this game that you don't ever see. This is a Blockbuster Video rental.
Case.
Nice.
So it actually has, like, this is the Tournament Fighters
Yeah, it says it
case
on it.
that you
Tournament
rented
Fighters.
it.
Like that's the original rental
Right.
case.
And the serial number matches the one of the box, and the serial number on the manual also matches the box. So it actually came
Nice.
from, it's all inclusive. I only priced it based on price charting for the game and manual.
Right.
But this is probably like one of my most prized possessions of my
That's
game
cool. Yeah.
collection. Yeah, because I mean, when are you ever gonna see this? And because it's a high ticket game, it's a little bit, and it's Ninja Turtles too. So like being a Ninja Turtle fan, this is really cool to have with the Blockbuster case. Is it worth it? Absolutely 100% not. It is a not it is not a good game, guys. It's a fighter, but it is not a good game. It came out at the very end of the NES library. It also is on Genesis. It also is on Super Nintendo, and they are a better game on those systems. This is like very dumbed down. It's in my opinion, it's not really that fun. But like I said, it's Ninja Turtles. It's a blockbuster, so you got all your nostalgia wrapped up into one.
Right.
So,
Right.
Yeah.
so that is my number 3.
Nice. Good variety, I would say we have in this list going too. Do we want to should we stop here? Should we complete the list, then see what the viewers are saying?
Sounds like a good
Yeah.
idea.
I think we give us your twos. Everyone give us the number 2,
Okay, and we'll wait
and
on
then
number one.
we'll talk about number 1, and then we'll answer Bryce's question based on number 1 is what do we think the value of our number 1 game actually should be?
Okay.
Oh, okay. So
You wanna do
take the
that?
value. So it's take the value of the actual value, but say what we actually think it's worth.
Think it's
What do
worth.
you think it's actually worth? It's our most expensive game in our collection. Bryce asked,
Oh,
what do we think the games should actually be worth?
I see.
okay,
Let's
I
ask
see.
that on our
interesting.
first one.
Interesting.
So we could throw the viewer questions in before or not?
Yeah, I would say let's do it.
All right, cool. We'll see what you guys had to say then.
What did you say? What did you say?
Springfield, let's hear from you.
Let's hear from you guys. We got over on our YouTube community page here. We got a couple comments. Another bald nerd says, currently the most expensive game in my collection is the physical edition of Worms WMD, put out by Super Rare Games for the Switch, followed by Super Mario 3D All-Stars Collection on the Switch. I had wished he put the prices. I did look up Super Mario 3 3D All Stars to see if that was expensive in my collection, but it's around, I'd say $100 or
Yeah.
so for that
Yeah.
one.
It's because it was very limited. Switch didn't print a lot of those, and then once they were gone, they were gone. They never re-released it.
Yeah.
But you're just gonna bring that price up as the time goes by, right?
Sure, sure, yeah. Especially if they don't have it like on a virtual console or something like
Mhm.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we got the Unlikely Toad. I have a retro USB Retrovision cart for the NES. Probably top 3 in my collection. Worth it? No, especially when in comparison to the price versus the Super Game Boy. But who can actually say they play Game Boy games on their NES?
Well, they
Not
play
many
it on
people.
their Super Nintendo, right?
Well, I guess what he's saying,
Super Game Boy, yeah.
this retro USB Retrovision cart lets you do that on NES.
Oh, interesting.
I believe that's what he's getting at. Yeah.
Okay, okay.
And my collection of video games 642 says Little Samson. Yes. I guess if it's worth it, he's just saying yes. Splatterhouse. You can get the cheaper version on Xbox 360. So he must mean Splatterhouse on TurboGrafx.
Mm.
And Silent Hill 2 remake is amazing on the PS5. So maybe he's suggesting
Oh, you know what
Silent
he's
Hill
doing?
2.
He's looking at our post. So those are the 3 games on our post.
Oh, I see. Yes. So if you scroll up here, it
Yeah.
shows these 3 here. So that's
Yes.
what he
So
was.
he's
Are they
answering the
worth the high
question.
price? So Little Samson's worth it. Yes. Splatterhouse, just get the 360 version and just get Silent Hill 2 remake on the PS5 instead of the original. So
Okay, that's fair.
there we go. That's good. And then we also have Instagram as well. So if you guys aren't following us on our social medias, you guys can do that. We're on Instagram, Facebook, and the YouTube community page. We post on there weekly as well. Let's see. We got Ty's Gaming and Collecting says, for retro games, my most expensive is a CIB copy of Batman Beyond on the N64. For more current, I have Baldur's Gate 3 Deluxe Edition. And the only game I have held on to since it first came out is Pokemon Black 2 for the Nintendo DS. And Jay Geeky says, I don't know, SNES and GBA. I'm not sure what he's referring to there, but
Yes, I'm not sure.
Well, he says it a lot, it looks like.
that's true. He did come back with a lot. Fair enough. Fair enough. That's what they're jumping into. I think there's a few voicemails as well. If we kind of want to jump around, hear those, or should we go to our number 2s? We'll say our number 2s.
Yeah,
And then
yeah, we'll do
jump in
those.
there. We're off the hook on this week's episode. We're making our own rules,
right?
Coming in number 2 for $752 on my list. So you can imagine
Big
what
money,
number
big
1 will
money.
be. This did make it on a few of lists that I had, but to no surprise, we got Chrono Trigger complete in box copy right here. This is my childhood copy from back in the day. It's got all the posters in it, the 2 posters, the game cart, all the jazz in there. Definitely love this game growing up, playing it, a classic. If you don't want to pay the high price tag, almost made my list. There's the version on the DS, which is like $100 something for
Wow.
that version. And it's the same game, but with added cutscenes that were on the PlayStation version. But certainly this classic one, this is going to be a tough one of if it's worth it. Is it worth $752 worth it? That's hard to say. Probably most will say best RPG of all time. I guess if you have that nostalgia for it, it may be worth it. I mean, you're still under $1,000, I guess, right? So, yeah.
So here, look at it this way, Russ. It's worth 700 and some dollars, you said?
Yeah, 752.
If you didn't have that copy, that childhood copy of yours, if
Right.
it was taken away from you right now, and you found that childhood copy of yours, and
Ooh,
that was the
okay.
price tag, would you pay it?
See, I like how Keith puts it in perspective there. Looking at it like that, I'd probably say yeah. I probably would say yeah. I'd probably maybe sell some stuff to kind of
Mhm.
eat the cost some rather than just straight out pay it. Like, okay, maybe I'll sell some other games I don't play as much, do some custom consoles and sell those to make a profit and pay it. So, all right. Yeah, we'll go. It's worth it. It's worth it.
Which I think would a lot of us, if you could go back and you think about it, your childhood copy of a game or something like that, if you could go back to and get that exact copy,
Mhm.
would you pay the price now? And I think a lot of us probably would do our best to get a hold of that childhood copy again, right? But that being said, number 2 for me, my number 2 gonna be Wacky Races on the NES.
Okay.
Worth $347. It's a fun game. It's
Yeah.
not a great game. I like it because I remember I emulated it when I was a kid. I remember having like an old IBM computer, and it was like one of the first games I ever emulated. I would have been like 17 or 18 and playing it and thinking it was super cool because we used to watch the Wacky Races cartoons. We had the VHSs of those.
Oh, cool.
And I really enjoyed it. So when this one came up on eBay and I got it for like $200 or something like that, I managed to
Mhm.
snatch it for. It was worth it to me at the time because I had those nostalgic memories on it. Is it worth it as a whole? Probably not worth 325 or $347. Probably not. But it's a good game. It's a fun game. I would say emulate it, but that's my number 2.
Nice.
All right. Well, my number 2 is one of my absolute all-time favorite NES games. Um, and the price tag on it right now sits at $649.98. The reason for it is because I have a sealed copy of it,
Oh, okay.
and that is River City Ransom on the
Nice.
NES. So I purchased this um several years ago. I don't remember how long ago it was. It might have been 8 or 9 years ago at this point. I picked this up on eBay for $150. And even then, when I purchased it, I was like, can I really afford $150 like on a sealed game? And like you guys were just talking about, the reason I bought it and pulled the trigger is because it is my favorite NES game and has been my favorite NES game since I have, and I still have my original copy as when I was growing up. So is this, I mean, okay, now we have to put things into perspective here because this is $650 for a sealed game.
Sealed game, yeah.
Right. The loose cart is only around what, $50, $40, somewhere
Okay.
around there. So for me, $650, I mean, granted, I paid $150 at the time. If I were to have to spend $650 now, I probably still would do it. I'd
Oh,
probably have to
okay.
sell some stuff, and
Mhm.
because this is my grail of so many childhood memories of
Okay.
playing this growing up and going through it and spending hours. I spent hours on this game. It's like an RPG, it's a beat 'em up. Uh, it's super fun. So I would say for me, it, it is worth the $650 for the sealed copy. And I got
Nice.
this cool little like acrylic case for it too, so it's nice.
Like that's like a hard shell case, right? Yeah.
Yeah, this opens up at the bottom, and I bought this at one of the cons because I knew I had this at home, and I
Okay.
wanted to display
Is
it
that
and take good care of it.
like a
Excellent.
collector protector case or
It is not. This is before the
no? It's the
collector
other.
protector.
Okay.
Yeah, so this one has like, I don't know if you could see, but it has like this bottom part that slides out like
Okay.
this.
Yeah.
So it is a
Nice.
little different. So it actually, when it sits, it's raised off of the
Boxes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
off of the table a
Nice.
little bit.
There you
So
go.
yeah, that's my number 2.
Nice. So Keith was saying, so Bryce had called in and asked a question. He left a voicemail early on. and he was asking if our number one game, right, with the price tag, what we think the game should be worth, essentially.
Yeah.
We'll kind of answer that without saying what our number ones are, and then we'll get to
Okay.
the other voicemails as well, and then we'll
like it.
reveal our number ones.
Okay.
Who wants to? You
So,
gonna go, Keith?
Russ, no, we'll go with you first because you're going to
Okay.
be revealing yours first, so we don't get too out of order here, even though we're kind of flying on the seat of our pants here today. What do you think your number one is worth? Should it actually be worth?
Should actually be worth. I would definitely have it under $100. Maybe sit at like 70 or $80, I think would be a good price for it. Where it sits now, it's pretty up there.
Okay.
We'll say. Yeah.
Are
yeah.
we allowed to ask like the system?
I
Or
would
is
say
that-
no.
or
I'd
is
say
it
let's
just- okay.
just keep it as no
Okay,
questions.
no questions, just that.
I'm going to say
Okay.
my number one should be worth $60.
$60? Okay.
Yep.
Okay. My number one, given the rarity of it, I would probably say, only because of the rarity, I would maybe
Okay.
go 80 to 90, but it's
Okay.
probably still not even worth that.
So we're all under $100 for our number one. What we personally think these should be worth, but they're quite worth more in our collection as our number one,
Yes.
which we will get to. We got a few voicemails pertaining to our topic here, and again, you can call into the show. We have a phone number that is 949-682-9277. Leave us a voicemail. And you could even text as well, because Bryce sent us a text message, and I can read the text message on the phone. So let's hear some more voicemail.
I keep dreaming about my dream phone.
It's for you.
What's up, Weekly Warp Pipe? It's your boy NES Addict. I was calling because the weekly rental was Super Metroid.
Yeah.
Super choice. Whoever chose that, congrats. That game is incredible. So I just want to say a couple quick things about it. First off, I never played it as a kid, but I have very distinct memories of the commercial where the guy was like, "Oh, sir, here's going up against whatever." Or exactly the word, but the point is, it's like a little chihuahua. No, it's like a big, mean dog, and then when he comes out from playing Super Metroid, he's like a little chihuahua. It punked him down. It was such a tough game. I remember it says something like worlds and weirdos. Anyway, I'm not going to try to recreate the commercial because clearly I'm not remembering it very adequately. So the other thing I want to say is what really made me want to play Super Metroid was our old friend Chris, NES Complex, did an incredible retrospective on that game, as he claims it is his favorite Super Nintendo game, and what a great choice. And if you have not gone to watch NES Complex's retrospective of Super Metroid, what are you doing with your life? Go watch it immediately after this. Don't forget to like, comment on this video, and help Russ's algorithm as I'm downshifting gears in my car while I'm at the gas station. Okay, I'm out of here, guys. I'll stop live and
Thanks, Jay, so much for calling
if he
in.
was driving through a tunnel or not, but I guess we know the answer.
At first, I'm going to be honest with you. I thought it was my audio issue with StreamYard.
Right.
And then I was like, am I going to tap out here again?
That's okay. That's okay. Appreciate you calling in, Jay. Yeah, definitely NES Complex. If you haven't watched that YouTuber, been around for quite some time. He's got fantastic videos. Check out his video on Super Metroid for sure.
And you know what? I might agree with Jay here. This might be my favorite SNES game.
We'll see. We'll see. We got two more voicemails here.
Weekly Warp Pipe. What's going on? This is Colby from Purgeon Spurge Drifting, chiming in on this week's topic about the expensive games.
Yeah.
I don't have any per se like 500,000 huge games like that. I would say I have more expensive, like obscure obscure games, and I have a decent amount of my NES collection. I'm around 450 to 500 on the NES library right now, and I also include third-party titles. So one of those third-party titles I actually got for Christmas a couple years ago. I used to work as an exterminator, and I was gifted Pest-Terminator for Christmas, complete in the box.
Wow.
Not
Okay.
too many extermination pest control type games out there, so it was kind of neat when I was working in that field. You asked if it's worth it. I appreciated that it was a gift. Would I say it's a very good game? No, it's a terrible game. It is very splotchy gameplay. The graphics aren't that great. Some of those third-party companies manufacturing Nintendo games back then were not very good. I don't know. I think it might be a Color Dreams game now that I'm thinking of it, so that would make sense. Not a lot of them are very good. But nonetheless, I appreciate having it in my collection, but would I pay it again? I certainly wouldn't pay it. Like I said, I got it as a gift, but I don't think I would necessarily spend $150 to $200 that it's worth. I probably would save that for something I truly would enjoy and be able to replay. So unfortunately, this one is it's a shelf dweller. It doesn't get out to be used very often, but it's got a pretty cool cover case and it looks nice in my display. So that's what I got for you on an expensive game. Cheers, guys.
Excellent. Thanks, Colby, for calling in. A quick side story on that game, Pestorminator. If you guys are local, Retro Games Plus is the game store I used to work at. Chris owns that chain. Chris also does Retro World Expo and SoCal Expo. That game, Pestorminator, was one of the first games he had gotten and resold, and kind of was like, hey, I can kind of get into this reselling of video games and maybe open a store. And I remember he had a copy, complete in box of that game he had gotten back. And so he put it in his little like shrine showcase at the store, I remember. So that's pretty
Nice.
cool. We got one more here.
Hey, dudes. This is your web guy, Tom, calling in to say, whoa, your website update is totally radical. It's like live right now. It's like cranked up the blast processing and took it straight to level 10 awesomeness. That's what it's like. Seriously, you'll love the new look, super smooth navigation, and all the retro goodness packed in. So make sure you dial in and check it out. Cowabunga, dudes.
Thanks, Tom. What is he? He's doing the online. Like, I love it. So that's Tom, our web designer. I guess we have our website is up and running with the new vamp, theweeklywarpipe.com. You guys can check out that website. We did an overhaul of it. There's bio sections. There's our media. They got the shows breaking up into sections in case you want to just hear all the quote shows, Brad and Bogus, Vintage Toy Box, and all that. There's a lot to look around. Contact on there, newsletter you could sign up for. It looks great on mobile and desktop. So theweeklywarpipe.com. Check it out. Big shout out to Tom for hooking that up. And Dave, him and Tom were going back and forth. I kind of jumped in a little bit and gave my okay, but they definitely revamped it and it looks professional. We're excited to go ahead. New look and everything.
And it's out now.
It's
now. Available now when this is being aired.
So check it out. Sweet. So those are our voicemails. We're going to get back to the main topic here of what our number one most expensive game in our collection is. And is it worth it? All right, I'm doing my reveal. I'm going.
Yeah, and what did you say you thought yours should be priced at?
I said like 60 to 80 bucks.
Okay. Let's see it.
So coming off, again, this is with cart and manual added into it.
Okay.
$1,017 is the combined total for none other than
for the benches, eh?
You might have guessed it since I had one in my collection already and we told a quick story, but that is Jack Bros on the Virtual Boy. I have the manual, I have the cart right here. So the manual itself is 300 smackaroonies just for some paper. 304 to be exact, and the cart itself is $713. A
Jeez.
very unique game. I've played it a few times on my Virtual Boy. Cool concept for sure. And when I had set out to get a complete Virtual Boy set, this is the most expensive Virtual Boy game. I'm like, I don't know if I can ever spend that money to get that one game, because I'm going up the all right, let's get Mario Clash, let's get Mario Tennis, like these cheap $60 games, maybe $80. You start climbing the rails. I'm like, can I spend 700 something dollars on a game here? And so the only reason I did end up getting it is because I bought everything as a lot, which made it worth it in the price I got it for. Then whatever Virtual Boy games I would have doubles, I can then sell to kind of recoup some money. But over $1,000, is it worth it? Now there's no nostalgia value to this because I didn't play this game growing up, never had it growing up, just only played it recently. I'd play it for $60 to $80. It's a fun game. It's got a neat concept, but that's what I probably think it's worth it. As it sits now, definitely not.
Is the $60 to $80 including the manual or just for the cart?
I guess that would be just for the cart. Yeah, no
Just for the
manual.
cart. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Wow, that's
Pricey one.
$1,000.
Top
That's
me
crazy.
for sure.
Yeah.
You're way up on me. I guess depending on well, maybe no, because it would still be way up on me. We use Canadian pesos. So my number one is I think it should be worth about $60, which is actually what I paid for it. And my number one is going to be Bucky
Ooh, nice.
O'Hare CIB. So CIB US dollars. This is about a $600 game. It's about $149 loose. I picked this one up at a flea market store. There was always this one case. This guy was always selling Nintendo games, and I walked in there one day. This is about 6 years ago, and this was sitting in there, and it had a price tag of $60 on it. So I went to the front
Wow.
and I asked the lady at the front. I was like, "Can I look at that?" So I went back, she pulled it out. I looked at it, opened up. I'm like, "This is CIB." It was like, at the
Nice.
time I wasn't super NES knowledgeable, but I had seen, and I knew this was a pricier game. I was like, "Are you sure he wants $60 for this?" She's like, "Yeah, that's what he said." I asked 3
Nice.
times.
Wow.
That's crazy.
And
Just your
I
conscience
paid
look.
right? I paid $60 and then I ran across the parking lot. And I
I would
got in and
too.
I price charted it and I was like, "No way," because in Canadian dollar, I paid 60 Canadian dollars for this. In
Mhm.
Oh,
Canadian
wow.
dollars today, this one is worth 860 Canadian pesos.
Jesus.
Yeah. So we're going with US dollars with 600. Canadian price is a little bit higher due to the exchange rate, but CIB has everything in it. The box does have a little bit of it's got a little crease there, nothing major, but that is my number one. For me, it's about a $860 game here, but for you guys, it's about $600.
There we
And
go.
when you purchased it,
I was
do you know
running.
what it was going for at that time?
I think it was in like the $500 range, to be honest with you,
Okay.
back then.
So it hasn't gone up much
So
since then.
no, probably. Well, that might have been Canadian. I don't even know. I was
Oh,
probably looking
okay.
at American price back then because I
Wow.
didn't really realize. But yeah. So is it worth $60? Yeah, it's a really fun game because
Mhm.
you're trying to save the other characters, and then it's like a Mega Man style
Mhm.
playthrough to
Yeah.
it. You can swap the other characters. It's a really fun game. I'd pay $60 for it. I'd probably pay $60 for it loose, to be honest with you.
Mhm.
But no, super fun game, worth $60. Definitely not worth the price tag that we're
Wow.
seeing nowadays.
Cool. All
There
right.
we
Well,
go.
my number one clocks in at now mine is box and cart, no manual.
Okay.
And that is Buster Douglas Boxing.
Interest. Wow. Never heard
Wow.
that on this one.
Wow.
This you guys want to take a guess of what it clocks in for? Did I tell you? No.
No.
What are you thinking? This goes for
Six-
$742, box and cart alone.
Wow.
So is it 1,000 with manual, I wonder?
Yeah, it's a close to it, I think.
Okay.
The box I think is around $350.
Yeah.
With
And
hang
the
tab,
cart
eh?
is with hang tag, yes. And then here's the inside. It is a Sega Master System game. And so I think the reason why this is apparently this is like one of the rarest games on the system.
Okay.
Maybe because it was towards the tail end. I'm not really sure. The story behind this actually, and this will never ever be sold out of my collection. And the reason for that is because this was gifted to me. My really good friend Rick, who may be watching, I have not told him that this is worth $742. So Rick, if you're listening, we'll have a conversation. But he was one year he was kind of cleaning his house and he was going to basically get rid of his Sega Master System. So he called me up and he said, "Hey, I know you're into retro games. I'm going to be getting rid of my games. These were my childhood games. Would you like a Sega Master System? I got the zapper, I got the controllers, I got the cords, I got, I don't know, 15 games or something like that."
Okay.
And this was in there. Now, this sat in my basement on like storage side for a few years. And then my friend Rob came over, Rob Krosky, who is part of Dead Media Junkies. Check them out. He came over and I was like, "Hey, here's the lot of." I had no idea this was in there. I had no idea what it was worth. And he just like yoinked it right out. And he was like, "You only have like the rarest game on the system." And then I looked it up and I was like, "What? Why is a boxing game
Yeah.
$742?" And I guess maybe because, first of all, the licensing,
Right.
this I think was only released. I think there's like maybe a PAL version and this version, and this doesn't exist on any other system. And I guess it was maybe low, I don't know, low quantities or something.
Right.
But it blows my mind that this thing is $742. If
No doubt.
it was up to me, I would say maybe because of the rarity, 70 to 80.
Okay.
But I mean, that's only because of rarity. If not, it's a boxing game, guys. It's not as good as Mike Tyson's Punch Out. It does have some, I mean, it kind of looks like Ring King or something, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I could see that. Ring King.
So it's not really exciting or anything like that. It's not like that like first person kind of look. So James Buster Douglas knockout boxing knocked out Mike Tyson.
For price, yeah.
No, and in real life.
Oh, in real life.
This was Mike Tyson's first loss.
Wow. Okay, how about that?
So there you go. That's my number one. I do have a couple of honorable mentions. I don't know if you guys have that.
No, I didn't put any.
I have really
did
two.
Strict 5.
I'll just do one quick one.
Okay.
One quick one. And the only reason I'm mentioning it is because this actually clocks higher than that. And it is, I have it. It's right here. Let me grab it over here. It is a sealed Master Edition Breath of the Wild. So this has a Hylian. I'm sorry, the Master Sword is in here. It's like a little statue. It's got the game. It's got a bunch of other stuff, but it is sealed. I got this at Retro World Expo one year that me and Russ were there. I traded a bunch of amiibo, and I think he was asking like 300 at the time. That's what it was going for, sealed. And now it's up to $908.94.
Nice.
Pretty expensive, and I'll never open it, and I'll probably never get rid of it because Breath of the Wild is one of my favorite games. So it's basically just a cardboard box sitting on my shelf.
Fair enough.
Is it worth it? No, because it's sealed and I can't enjoy the Master Sword, so it's not
Right.
worth $900. I probably wouldn't spend $900. I would probably spend the open price so I can display the sword.
Right,
But
right.
yeah, so that's my honorable mention.
Sweet. Hopefully you guys enjoyed that topic of most expensive games in our collection and if they're worth it. Bloop, bloop, bloop.
Okay, guys, we're gonna run a little Wheel of Doom for you, and I think we have Russ. Can you tell us we have a little bit of a twist on it this time? Why don't you run the intro and then we'll tell them about it?
Sounds great.
Wheel of
All right, we're always evolving here at the Weekly Warp Pipe. We want to tweak this segment just a bit. Before we had a bunch of random topics on there, essentially, and the whole idea behind Wheel of Doom is lands on something, we talk about it for 10 minutes. I thought it'd be great if we can add a bunch of more controversial topics, okay? We got a whole bunch on here. Probably got about 20 topics. We're going to
Okay.
spin it, whatever it lands on. 10-minute round table about that topic. I think you guys be interested. Let's shuffle it up. Let's give it a spin.
Spin it.
Let's see what we're chatting about.
No
Round and
bloating
round it
gas
goes.
this week, right?
Nope.
No
Close
bloating
that
gas.
out. All right, we got did Sonic the Hedgehog ever truly compete with Super Mario? That's our topic.
That's a good one.
That's a good one.
That's a good one.
Sega was definitely trying to compete. with
Did
him,
a
right?
little bit. I believe when they swapped over to Sonic as their
Sonic.
mascot and pumped him
Right.
out, I believe they actually outsold Nintendo that holiday season. I think 2-1, honestly, if memory serves. So it did briefly push Sega ahead, but Mario already had all those roots behind him, right? So
Right,
I don't think he
because
ever would have.
Because Sega had to revamp their whole because prior to this, what their mascot was Alex Kidd, I think
Yeah.
was like from the Master System, and then they're moving over to their 16-bit console, and they're like, we need someone new, something to kind of compete with this plumber here. So that's when Sonic hit the scene.
Right.
Hit the scene running, pun intended.
And they were super edgy with all their advertising too, right? When
So
they came out with him,
Yeah.
they were like, we've got attitude. They did what Nintendo don't, I think, was their ad campaign. And they pushed hard with Sonic. And he definitely, like I said, he did briefly, make Mario stumble, I think, or Mario.
Would you say he outran Mario?
So many puns
in
in
a
this topic.
in a sprint he outran him, but not in the wrong race. No.
Right. The old tortoise and hare situation.
And it did launch the console wars, no?
I think it started to push that console wars bigger because they knew when they were going to launch the 16-bit system, Sega knew they had to do something that was going to push it ahead, and that I think was Sonic and the Attitude Era, right? To try to sell it to those older kids that Nintendo was just for kids, but Sega was cool.
So what's interesting is I never had a Super Nintendo growing up. My neighbor had the Super Nintendo, and I had a Sega Genesis. I purchased a Sega Genesis. It was the first console I ever purchased with my own money, and it was the Sonic 2 pack-in.
Okay.
And I think during that time, so I was playing mainly Sonic versus, I was playing Super Mario World next door.
Okay.
So I put a lot more time into Sonic, and then Sonic really kind of, the trajectory of Sonic. I mean, to Sonic 2 to Sonic 3 to Sonic and Knuckles. Sonic and Knuckles, they had that cartridge where you could put the other games on top of, and then play with Knuckles in the older games. So that's something that Mario had never done. But Yeah, I would say that he competed pretty good, especially like in the sense of Sega Genesis versus Super Nintendo. And Keith, you even did a whole video on the console wars, and I
Yeah.
think you might have spoken about this a little bit.
Yeah, I sure did. Yeah, which is
Yeah.
why it does strike me that they did outsell Nintendo for that holiday season when it first kind of was released. But I mean, they didn't have a lot of other, like they had a lot of games. There's a lot
Mm.
of sports titles, right, on the old Genesis, and there was a lot of ports from arcades and stuff. Nintendo just had fun games, right? A lot of the
Right.
Super Nintendo games were just straight up fun. So that
Like, I feel like Sega Genesis, they geared it towards like, uh, it had a little bit more edge, so more kids wanted to play
Yeah.
it because it was like a cool system to have. I will say, being a Sega Genesis kid growing up, the sports games were always fantastic. Um, the Sonic games, I mean, without question. I personally like growing up, even though I did not have the Super Nintendo, I felt like Sega Genesis had had some better games. That's just my opinion as a kid growing up. But
Yeah.
I think Sonic definitely had a lot to do with that. Absolutely.
It did for sure, yeah.
I think that
What
Nintendo kind of laid that groundwork, right? And Sega saw what worked essentially and where they needed to go. So they were already kind of behind and playing catch up
Mhm.
with it, but they had, I guess you could say, like the blueprint, what they needed to do and what worked with kids and the direction they needed to go. So, like you said, they kind of caught them at that holiday season with Sonic being a little bit more popular than Mario just for a little bit. So I feel like
Yeah.
he definitely competed with Mario, but he
Yeah.
had maybe a stumble there. He was in the lead for a short time. And I guess the big like how you put it, losing to Nintendo. Eventually, Sonic games ended up on a Nintendo console, right?
Yeah.
You get it, so it's like,
Right.
now they're not
Yeah.
even in the race. Now going to be on your console, and you can play Sonic on
Yeah.
Nintendo Switch or
Right.
even on Wii.
They're still branded as Sega though.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, just as a company that makes the say hardware, the software, the
Okay.
games
Which is a
itself.
smart way to do it, right? Like, 'cause then people like us have those memories of, "Oh, it's a Sonic game, Sega," and that's what you associate with. You're always gonna associate with it, so keep that brand on there even if it, is on the Nintendo, right?
Right.
And having Sonic with like the whole attitude and everything. I mean, look at some of the games that were on Sega Genesis too. They had Mortal Kombat. They had the blood with the
Mhm.
Mortal Kombat. They also had what was the other one that they did? Oh, in Aladdin, a Disney game. The Sega Genesis, you had a sword, and in Super Nintendo, you only had apples to throw.
Yeah.
So Sega Genesis kind of upped the game of like being the more edgy console, and then Sonic alone was like a catapult to like shoot them off and you know go in that
Yeah.
trajectory.
They knew they needed a mascot, and he was a really good mascot for them when they needed him to be, right? So
Right. Alex Kidd is not cutting it.
it's not quite there to help. So,
Nice.
the answer is yes for a bit? Is that what we're going
Yes,
with?
Yeah. Yeah.
I would say yes for sure.
He showed him some competition for a little while.
Yeah, and then
We were cutting it early.
it's okay.
What'd you
It's
say?
fine.
Got it.
He succumbed to
7
Mario.
minutes.
Cut it. Let's go. Making our own
Excellent.
rules.
Excellent.
Right.
All right, we got a reminder of what we're playing this week for the Warp Pipe rental. We have chosen Battletoads in Double Dragon on the Super Nintendo, a beat 'em up style game. Try to give it a few days. You don't give it 30 minutes like Keith. You can probably get
Right.
it.
I was out riding my bicycle. I was out on my BMX playing in the mud. I didn't
Play
have
it in the
time
mud.
for video game. 30 minutes for the podcast.
That was a wasted $4 rental.
Right? Mom's gonna be mad.
And yeah, we post on Fridays on our social media. what game it is if you want to get the jump ahead on it since you're listening to the podcast on Saturday, or check out the weeklywarpipe.com. There is a section for the Warpipe rental there, and you can always be on the know with that. What do we got for next week, Dave?
So next week, our main topic is going to be, and I think this is a fun one, this is going to be video games that we spent the most time or hours on.
Okay. Clocked hours and some
clocked
of these games.
hours.
It's going to be embarrassing is what it's going to be.
By who?
Oh, I
us,
know
I guess how much
what
time we
game
sunk in.
I have spent
Yeah.
most time on, and there's
Oh,
a
interesting.
lot of
Okay.
hours.
Okay, fair. Do you have it clocked?
God, no. That would
I'll be
very
curious to
embarrassing.
see mine. I'll probably have to do some research to see which one is mine. So I got a week to do that. So that's
Sounds
our
good.
topic for next week. And wrapping this episode up. Where can we find you guys? Keith, where we can find you?
I'm on YouTube, Retro Car Collector, new video every Sunday morning, or on Instagram. Check me out there.
Nice. Dave?
Well, when I'm not going dark and glitching out on StreamYard, I'm over on Instagram, so you can follow me right here. Where is it? Right there, David.Apuzzo. You can look me up on Instagram, and then my whatnot as well. Links will be on the website, so all of our socials are there now. Go check it out. Follow everybody.
That's right.
Soon
Yeah.
to be a YouTube channel of toy hunting from the sounds of it.
Possibly. Yeah.
That's quite possible.
And of course, guys, you can check me out on YouTube under Russ Lyman. I got 2 videos a week that I've been posting. Usually it's a DIY video and my series Nintendo, where I'm going through all the NES games on the system. It's like a Let's Play, but Rob the Robot comes in and gives me some tips and tricks along the way. It's a good time. As always, you can catch us every Saturday morning here in the Weekly Warp Pipe with new episodes. And we also post on our YouTube channel just the segments in case you just want to check out Name That Quote, Rad or Bogus. All that stuff's on there. And again, we'll be pushing it. Check out the weeklywarpipe.com for everything we've talked about tonight. As always, guys, we appreciate you jumping in the Warp Pipe with us. And we'll see you on the next level.